Stargates. The founder races created Stargates, which provide instantaneous travel between various planets and other galaxies. The alternative to Stargates is the painfully slow journey across vast distances of interstellar space. This mobility means that Stargates are highly coveted among alien races. 360 billion years ago, the fallen angelic beings and their incarnate allies destroyed Stargate 12 and the center of the Milky Way, creating a black hole. Matter and energy are then sucked into an anti-universe or phantom matrix from the black hole. The history of the galaxy is a history of this ancient conflict for domination of the Stargates. The Guardian races, members of the Emerald Covenant, have been desperately trying to protect the Stargates from the Dominator races. The conflict between the Guardian races and the Dominator races is between races that support God and creation and those with a selfish agenda of domination. The primary dominator races that have direct involvement in human history in this conflict are the Anunnaki and hybrid Anunnaki races, the Zeta Reticuli, the Draconian, and the Necrometon. God provides life force to those who cooperate with creation and serve others. The path of self-service is a spiritual dead end. Without God's light and life force, the only way fallen races to survive is to steal life force from the rest of creation until the whole of creation is absorbed into darkness. When there is no more energy, the phantom matrix will eventually implode back into cosmic dust. The fallen angelic are dying in a dying universe that will eventually implode. They want to take the non-fallen created universe down with it, thus destroying creation. The Galactic War. The conflict between the Guardian races and the Dominator races is between races that support God and creation and those with a selfish agenda of domination. For 700 billion years, peace existed in the galaxy until 250 billion years ago, when two groups started fighting for dominion over what they considered their territory. These races are the aquatic ape species Anu and the dragon moth species Omicron. Omicron and Anu both disagreed that species should have free will and decided to impose their will on creation. They started fighting each other and killing and enslaving countless races on untold thousands of planets. They would eliminate any race that would not cooperate and become their slaves. The founder races created the Emerald Covenant, a co-evolution agreement to work a free will system with the Creator. The Emerald Covenant was created to repair the damage that the fallen races had done, assist fallen races in re-evolving their damaged genetics, help them reconcile with the Creator, and repair and protect the Stargates. Genetics and DNA. Advanced alien races discovered the secrets of the genetic blueprint and how to tweak DNA. This has led to disastrous consequences. Genetic cloning has led to the demise of several species as unexpected errors result from the cloning process. Modifying DNA is against creation as it interferes with free will and the natural progress of evolution. Genetic engineering has been used on humans and early proto-humans for at least 2 million years. 2 million years ago, colonies of genetically engineered proto-humans were put on the continent of Lemuria. Humans have been engineered to have larger, less stocky, less hairy bodies and bigger brains. Secrets of the Indigo child. Most souls come into incarnation with 3 DNA strands activated. It takes many lifetimes to activate strands 4, and it takes many more to activate strands 5 and 6. By the time strand 6 is activated, humanity will be a different species or root race. The Indigo, born with 6-strand activation, has a concentration of blue frequencies in its auric field. The 6-dimensional frequencies that go with the 6-strand DNA have a capstone color of indigo. Every dimension has a capstone color, which is the primary wave spectra, as every color has a frequency. Blue is the color of 5-strand activation, indigo on strand 6, and then violet on strand 7. Most people of Aryan descent are born with 3 strands activated and the imprint for strand 4, and they do not have the imprint for strands 5 and above. The Melchizedek individuals are born with strand 4 activated and the imprint for strand 5. This progressive advancement of strand activation consciousness integration creates the genetic and conscious evolution of humanity. Biospiritual evolution is a process that we are all involved in. Strand 6 activated beings are not supposed to be on Earth but have come into incarnation to help humanity evolve. Indigos have more spiritual awareness and access to higher dimensional identity. Incarnation as an indigo can either be a gift or a curse, and given the direction our civilization is taking now, it is more of a curse. It is almost intolerable for an indigo to be on this planet currently. Who are these indigo beings incarnated? Connected with this is the question, where does humanity come from? What races did we come down into matter densities from? Humans in first density physical reality came from higher, non-physical etheric matter. Some races go all the way up the dimensional scale. There is a galactic heritage that has been banned from our history books, primarily by the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki want to be able to manipulate humanity from behind the scenes in a similar way that scientists experiment with caged animals. The Anunnaki do not want humans to know too much in case they might rebel and refuse to participate in their experiment. The Anunnaki play God and manipulate humanity into subservience. Information about DNA activation is important to get out of the mind control and distorted history that we have been taught for thousands of years. Emerging from mind control can involve remembering who we are and where we came from. It is time to throw out the history book and remember how ascension works. It is important to remember how to do cellular transmutation, and then it will be possible to evolve past the need for physical incarnation. Humanity needs to remember that it is part of a huge evolution program. The only reason we do not know that we are supposed to activate DNA and ascend is because, in the early phase of human evolution, some of those who were controlling this design decided that they were not going to allow this process of evolution and remove the memory of our galactic heritage. There are beings from Harmonic 2 that have 11-dimensional consciousness and do not want humans to get back to having 12-strand DNA activation. When humanity activates 12 strands of DNA, it will have more awareness and be more powerful than those with 11-strand DNA activation. By the time humanity eventually reaches 12-strand DNA activation, there will be a realization of what had been done to pervert the course of human evolution. The races that have been interfering with human evolution are nervous about when we do find out what has been done to us. Humans will be upset when they evolve to the point when they find out how they have been held back millions of years in evolution. It was supposed to take less than millions of years to get 12-strand activation. These races have hijacked and mutated our evolutionary cycle. Many religious teachings were purposely given to promote subservience to a god figure and not teach us ascension mechanics, and to make sure that we never realized that we are embodiments of the Creator. We have power because we are part of the Creator, just like the beings that like to play God. Humanity has been repeatedly mutated, and this is a reason the Indigos are back. If not for the intervention of the Indigos, humanity's gene code would completely deteriorate. If humanity lost too much of the original genetic blueprint, then we would devolve to the point where humanity would have to reseed, and the process would start all over again. The ones of higher harmonics who have assisted humanity in bioregenesis are getting tired of repeatedly advancing human genetics only to be thwarted by the fallen races who further damage the gene code. If genetics deteriorate much further, then humanity will no longer be Homo sapiens but a more primitive race and will no longer be able to regenerate 12-strand activation. A race that is stuck in the third dimension will always be finite and will degenerate to the point when it will turn into dust. If we regenerate into higher levels of consciousness, we will eventually be able to move out of incarnation cycles into a higher harmonic cycle while retaining our memory and identity. When genetics have been mutated to the point that they cannot go beyond 3-strand activation, the body shuts down and dies. When the ability to activate strand 4 is removed, then consciousness leaves the body and must come back down into another body repeatedly. Slowly, the level of consciousness diminishes with each incarnation until consciousness, with no connection to the source, can no longer hold a human pattern. This devolution will continue until a final death occurs. At this point, it is up to us whether we want to be self-aware and evolve back into God, or lack awareness and devolve back into space dust. DNA is a primary flash line of scalar waves that holds consciousness. Each DNA strand is a frequency of consciousness. Humans with 12 strands of DNA activation could hold 12 dimensions of consciousness and 4 harmonics and will have full access to transmutational mastery. Time cycles and time continuums are connected to the flashiness of strand activation. Strand 3 to 6 humans have a linear experience of time progression. There is the 24-strand matrix DNA pattern that can hold the memory banks of particle and antiparticle Earth, Terra, and Gaia. It can also be self-aware in multiple time vectors. Some indigos are born with the 24-strand genetic imprint. We have been denied information of our cosmic origins for many thousands of years. Many people think that the first civilization, the Sumerians, suddenly popped up out of nowhere. We have a heritage on this planet that goes back millions of years and a heritage from the stars. Life, which started in harmonic 4 liquid light density in the Lyran system, still holds the original pattern on which the levels of matter density into form were built. Physical matter is a hologram. The Melchizedek cosmic consciousness sent portions of itself into the dimensions to create individuation of race to experience creation. From harmonic 5, the Rishi level is dimensions 15, 14, and 13, and everything that comes into matter has this progression of scalar wave patterns, which progressively break themselves down into smaller pieces. To ascend out of first density, you must assemble, in order, all those pieces. So many of us are stuck in the time matrix because our DNA sequence is no longer the same as when we came into first density. The damaged DNA must be repaired before it is possible to reascend out of physical reality. Several groups of beings were created in the cradle of Lyra. The 2 primary groups involved with our heritage are the Elohai and the Seraphi. The Elohai and Seraphi are the first manifestations of the Melchizedek Rishi in prematter, liquid light avatar form. The family lines created by the Elohai and Seraphi were the core of the whole polarity drama. Billions of years before humans were created, the stellar families who came out of the Elohai Seraphi went into issues of polarity imbalance. Polarity imbalance in bodily consciousness turns into conflicts between DNA patterns. The conflicts in consciousness between races who could not understand one another tend to escalate into war. There have been interstellar wars for billions of years. The fall in consciousness was caused by the DNA codes that allowed them to pull in the full 15 dimensions of cognition, where the law of one is understood. The law of one is the understanding that we all came out of one and are all one. The fall in consciousness resulted in races seeing others as separate and something to fight with. They forgot that they were part of each other. The Melchizedek cloister is the highest level of the Melchizedek signature, retaining the full codes of ascension through the 3 levels of the energy matrix. Beyond the 15-dimensional energy matrix, there are 3 more levels. The Melchizedek cloister identity collective knows that it has fragmented pieces of itself in the energy-time matrix. It holds those codes knowing that it can give those codes back for the pieces of itself stuck in the time matrix to re-evolve back into expansion, into being part of that cosmic family of consciousness. The Melchizedek cloister commissioned the Elohai families to be in the time matrix and be the race line that would hold the original codes of ascension. Out of all the races, there is one original avatar pattern hominid form that had all the flashline sequences. These Elohai families were appointed to retain all the coding that would allow all races to plug in and get their coding back so they could get out of time. This group of Elohai was called the Emerald Order of the Azurite Council. The Emerald Order is an ancient group of beings that agreed to stay in this time matrix to help other stellar races ascend out of it. This would give us the ability to become ascended masters again. The Emerald Order of the Azurite Council is avatars of density for prematter liquid light that seeded versions of itself down through the densities. These codes were seeded to make them available to all the gene pools in all the race strains going. The Emerald Order seeded a race line in harmonic 3 etheric matter, a race called the Anahazi. The Anahazi would look like ghostly white beings with slanted eyes. The Anahazi were commissioned to become representatives of the Emerald Order, and they were the first etheric matter hominid imprint on all hominids on the 15-dimensional scale from harmonic 3 and below. To evolve out of time, every hominid will have to re-evolve through the imprint of the Anahazi, back into liquid light Christus, and then back to Rishi's ascended masters. The Anahaz